Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I see a lot of ladies amongst the crowd. Firstly, my sincere gratitude and thanks to all of you for finding the time and affording me this opportunity to express my thoughts. As I prepare to relinquish the command of one of the most elite formations of the Indian Army, I am sanguine that the situation here in Kashmir, in the valley, is peaceful and stable, and that the Chinar Corps over the last 16 months that I have been at the helm has strived hard to valiantly guard our borders, nix and negate numerous attempts at infiltration by inimical elements, while also simultaneously prosecuting a very robust and successful counter terrorist campaign within the Kashmir Valley. While doing this, we've also been very conscious and sensitive of our responsibility as part of nation building to maintain our connect with the Kashmiri people and the Awam. In this, as you are aware, we've initiated numerous programs and initiatives to make sure that we are always and at all times with the people of Kashmir. Today, as I am at the helm and shortly to leave, I realize that the region is at the cusp of a new beginning. We've seen over the last year and a half numerous significant events taking place here, and we've also seen a lot of development come to the region. In my view, this has been facilitated by a stable security situation brought about by very significant efforts that have been put in by the Chinar Corps and its sister agencies and organizations such as the Jammu and Kashmir Police, the CAPFs that are deployed here, and numerous other security agencies. So therefore, as I leave, I wish the Kashmiri people the very best, and I am quite certain and confident that they will embrace the numerous opportunities that lie ahead of them. Thank you, and I'll now leave it open to all of you to throw your questions and queries at me.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, as you will be taking the questions now. I'll request you, whoever wants to ask a question, please raise your hand. The mic will come to you. Please introduce yourself and then ask a question. Yeah, yes, please.
To General Rajiv sir, what is the biggest security challenge for the security forces in Jammu and Kashmir, being GOC 15 core? What's your assessment? And then there is a debate going on this report as the Agni sir. What's your take on it?
So, as I see it, you're asking me two separate questions. One is first as to what is our biggest security challenge. I think, like I've said, the security situation in the state, as I see it, for the better part of the last 2 years, has been very peaceful and stable. So, therefore, if you look at all the parameters against which you weigh such a situation, they've all been down. Terrorism today is largely fueled from across the borders. I think that much is very clear. We haven't had any active recruitment as I see it over the last year and a half. The numbers last year were down to a dozen, I think, across the year, and this year, they are almost next to nil. So therefore, if you see another violence parameters in terms of atrocities committed by terrorists, I think if you even look at the 4 or 5 incidents that we've had in the valley this year, softer targets have been picked where it's easy for even untrained personnel, maybe wielding a pistol or a smaller weapon to carry out such an atrocity. But the numbers are almost negligible. If you see terrorist initiated incidents, and I'm speaking within the valley, they've again been far and few in between. So, therefore, now what is the challenge? The challenge is to be able to maintain this situation. In my view, Kashmir has had a good year, just as it did last year. But we need a few more good years like this for the peace to be enduring and lasting. And that I feel is the biggest challenge of the security forces, to be able to keep the situation the way it is today. About your second question, the recruitment of the Agniveers, I know a lot has been said and written about this. But, if you heard our Chief of Army Staff speaking, numerous other, veterans and other experts speaking, I think you need to give any initiative a little bit of time for it to mature and become better. And I think as far as the Agniveer recruitment scheme is concerned, it is at that stage where it is metamorphosing, and I'm quite certain, the way we've embraced numerous other initiatives in the past, that the armed forces will be able to make it successful.
Yeah, please wait. Wait for the mic. Wait for the mic. Mic. Please introduce yourself.
Sir, as you said, the valley is becoming to normalcy. Sir, is there any chance or are the army is thinking to pull out some troops from the valley?
Look, like I said, we need a few more good years like the ones that we've had. 2024, 2023, I would say 2022 also amongst those. But I again want to say that for this peace to be enduring and lasting, we need to go through this process for a few more years. And therefore, whether it is the counter infiltration grid on the line of control or the counter terrorism grid that is deployed in the valley, it has to be maintained and sustained, because we are possibly in the consolidation phase, and therefore, in my view, no dilution of the grid is either recommended, and I definitely am not a proponent of that at this stage.
Yeah, Irfan.
Sir, Irfan Qureshi from TV9. Like you said, the security situation has improved in Kashmir Valley, and it is a challenge now to sustain it. So, what's your assessment as of now about the active terrorists in Kashmir Valley, especially?
So, the official numbers which the multi agency committees put out are approximately 80. And if you see, that's the lowest number in many years. When I came here last year, we were looking at numbers past the 100 figure mark. Now that figure has come down. Now, obviously, that figure is sustained by the perpetrators at a certain number, which is considered critical to sustain the terrorism ecosystem here. It has been the endeavor of the security forces to actively and aggressively bring these numbers down, and I think we've succeeded. Now the official figure is at 80, and I'm quite confident that the way we are going ahead, and we are prosecuting our operations in a manner where we are utilizing every wherewithal and means at our behest, I think these numbers will keep going down. So already at 80, we could be looking at an even lesser figure, maybe by the mid of next year. I'm keeping in mind that we are almost knocking at the doors of the winter.
Yeah, Mr. Manzu.
Sir Arshid Rasool. Sir, what is the impact of orphanage collective with the citizen in Kashmir? What is the impact of orphanage collective with the citizen in Kashmir?
Look, I said right at the outset that we are very conscious of our responsibility as far as nation building is concerned. We premise our outreach to the Kashmiri people and the Awam on certain pillars. And let me spell these out. The first one is education, the second is the youth, third is women, the fourth is promoting culture. So if I was to quickly just run through each of these pillars, as far as education is concerned, you are aware that we've spearheaded many pioneering schemes. We've got 28 Army Goodwill schools that are spread across the valley, and I feel that through these, we can shape the personalities of young children and make them realize as to what is good for them, what are the opportunities that lie ahead of them, and how they can realize these. You've heard of the JK where we sponsored as many as 900 students. We've invested about 37 crores over the last 3 years, and this will continue because most of these students are going to colleges and universities that have been carefully and deliberately identified and picked, and the students are in 4-year programs that they are attending. You've heard of the Super 50, which trains and prepares students for stringent exams such as the NEET, IITs, and the IIMs. And we are providing them the wherewithal and the necessary preparation that can prepare them for the very, very tough competition that is obviously there in these exams. Speaking about the youth, I know there are challenges such as ill influences. Let me put it like that. Drugs. I think that is a challenge that's staring us in the face, and these are areas that we are addressing. You know, uh, as an organization, we can do only as much, and sometimes I get the feeling that what we do is only like a little drop. But please remember that without that little drop, even the ocean would be a drop lesser. Women's empowerment. I know that young girls and women in Kashmir have aspirations like all other women in our country, and we are trying our best to make sure that some of these aspirations and opportunities are made aware to them so that they can realize them and they can give wings to their dreams. Sports and culture. You know that we are behind every sports initiative. We look for talent. We try and support them in the best way that we can. And you're aware that some of these children, youth from the region have gone and brought laurels to the country. And lastly, promoting culture. We are very conscious that this is a place where there is so much history and tradition and culture. So, whether it is showcasing to the people, you've heard of the recent inauguration by the Lieutenant Governor about the light and sound show at Bunyar. You the other day saw almost 10,000 girls getting together and setting a record in Baramulla. So these are small initiatives that we are taking, and that's primarily because we are aware of our responsibility towards nation building. And even as we move ahead, we shall remain committed to this and our connect with the people.
Yeah, Asif, you had a question.
सर मैं आसिफ न्यूज़ 24 से गुड आफ्टरनून सर आज तो पहली बार मौका मिला आपसे इंटरेक्शन का तो काफ़ी सारे सवाल है लेकिन थोड़ा सा हम कंबाइन करते हैं इसमें एक तो पहला कि जो हम यहाँ पे पीस देख रहे हैं कश्मीर वैली में तो एलओसी के उस पार पीओके में क्या इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में भी वहाँ पे क्या टेररिस्ट का जो जम्मू कश्मीर में इन्फिल्ट्रेशन करना खासतौर पर कश्मीर वैली में क्या उसमें भी कोई चेंज आया है या वहां से कमी हुई है? क्योंकि हम देख रहे हैं ज्यादातर आजकल एनकाउंटर्स या इन्फिल्ट्रेशन जम्मू में देखने को मिल रहे हैं। क्या ये उस स्ट्रेटेजिकल चेंज की वजह से थोड़ा सा कमी आई है, या इंडियन आर्मी ने कंटिन्यूअसली यहाँ पे इतना अच्छा ग्रिड बना के रखा है कि इन्फिल्ट्रेशन को फॉल किया जा रहा है और उनको यहाँ से चांस नहीं मिल रहा है आने का? एक तो ये है सर। दूसरा, वी हैव सीन अटैक्स लाइक कोकरनाग लास्ट ईयर जैसे हुआ था, उसके बाद कुलगाम में भी एक अटैक हुआ था। तो देर आर रिपोर्ट्स एंड इन सर्टेन सेक्शंस वी हर्ड कि कुछ फॉरेन टेररिस्ट्स है जो कश्मीर में ऊपरी पहाड़ी इलाकों में है। अगर आपके पास कोई इस तरह का फिगर होगा कितने हैं, और वो एनकाउंटर्स भी हम नहीं देख रहे हैं कि जिसमें फॉरेन टेररिस्ट्स मारे जाए, तो वो क्या है कि मतलब अगर है ऊपरी इलाकों में किस वजह से चुप बैठे हुए हैं, या ये आर्मी की वजह से है कि उनको वहां पे रोक के रखा है? इस बारे में थोड़ा क्लियरिटी अगर आप कर पाए।
तो आसिफ, आपके सवाल का जो पहला हिस्सा है कि इन्फिल्ट्रेशन और लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल के उस पार क्या इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, कम हुआ है पहले से, तो बेशक जैसे आपने कहा यहाँ पे काउंटर इन्फिल्ट्रेशन ग्रिड स्ट्रांग है। आपको मालूम है कि एंटी इन्फिल्ट्रेशन ऑब्स्टिकल सिस्टम, जिसको हम फेंस भी कहते हैं, वो है, वो टेक्निकली एनेबल्ड है। और कई जो अटेम्प्ट्स हैं घुसपैठ के, उनको हमने नाकाम किया है। अगर आप लॉन्च पैड्स और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की बात करें जो लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल के उस पार है, इस साल हमने देखा कि हालांकि इन लॉन्च पैड्स में लोग थे और हमें इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसी से इनपुट्स भी आ रहे थे कि ये कोशिश करेंगे, लेकिन उतने अटेम्प्ट्स नहीं हुए इस समर में जब वो नॉर्मली होते हैं, जैसे कि हमने पिछले सालों में देखा। अब इसकी वजह क्या है? आपने बोला क्या स्ट्रैटेजी चेंज हुई है? ये तो जाहिर है कि घुसपैठ लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल के अलावा दूसरी जगह से भी हो सकती है, और शायद इस साल हुई भी है। और इसीलिए अगर आप देखें तो शायद जम्मू रीजन में नंबर्स कुछ बढ़ गए हैं, क्योंकि वो एरिया हमेशा से पीसफुल था। तो स्ट्रैटेजी चेंज शायद ये हुई है कि लॉन्च पैड्स में हम देख रहे थे, हमें लग रहा था कि यहां से इन्फिल्ट्रेट करेंगे, लेकिन इन्फिल्ट्रेशन की कोशिशें और शायद सक्सेसफुल कोशिशें कहीं और से हो रही थी। और इसीलिए हम देख रहे हैं कि वो नंबर्स शायद थोड़े से बढ़ गए हैं। लेकिन मैं सिर्फ आपको यह बताना चाहता हूं कि मैं बहुत कॉन्फिडेंट हूं और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि वो नंबर्स भी जल्दी कम होने शुरू हो जाएंगे, क्योंकि इंटेलिजेंस हमें आने लग गई। दूसरा, आसिफ, आपने बात करी पिछले साल कोकरनाग वाले ऑपरेशन की। मैं सिर्फ इतना अपनी तरफ से कहना चाहता हूं कि वो एक अटैक नहीं था। आपको मालूम है कि उस ऑपरेशन में हमारे कर्नल मनप्रीत सिंह, मेजर आशीष धौनचक, डीएसपी हुमायूं भट्ट और सिपाही प्रदीप सिंह मेड द सुप्रीम सैक्रिफाइस। वो हमारा ऑपरेशन था। ये कई बार मैंने सुना है आप लोगों को बोलते हुए कि वो अटैक था, लेकिन मैं आज शायद एक आखिरी बार ये क्लैरिफाई करना चाहता हूं कि ऑपरेशन हमारा था। हमने सरप्राइज भी अचीव करी, लेकिन और कर्नल मनप्रीत और डीएसपी हुमायूं उस हाइड आउट तक ऑलमोस्ट पहुंच गए थे। लेकिन आप लोग सब एक्सपीरियंस में, आपको मालूम है कि जब पहाड़ों में और जंगलों में ऑपरेशन होते हैं तो आपको पिन पॉइंट पता नहीं होता कि वो हाइड आउट एक्चुअली कहां है। दे हैव अचीव्ड सरप्राइज। और हाउ? पूरी रात वो कॉलम्स चले थे, वो हाइड आउट सराउंड हो गया था, लेकिन लास्ट स्टेज में जब वो हाइड आउट के पास थे और वो आपस में मशवरा कर रहे थे कि एग्जैक्ट लोकेशन क्या हो सकता है, उस समय में काफी फायरिंग हुई और उन चारों को गोली लगी। और वो टेरेन ऐसा था कि हमें उनको वहां से इवैक्यूएट करने में भी प्रॉब्लम हुई। क्या वो फॉरेन टेररिस्ट थे? आपको मालूम है कि उस ऑपरेशन में 2 मरे भी। वन वॉज अनआइडेंटिफाइड, वन वॉज आइडेंटिफाइड एज अ लोकल। शायद 1-2 बच के निकल भी गए हों। क्या वो पाकिस्तानी टेररिस्ट थे या जैसे आप बोल रहे हैं फॉरेन टेररिस्ट थे? वो कहना मुश्किल है। हाल ही में जो हमने ऑपरेशंस देखे हैं उसमें पीर पंजाल के उस तरफ जम्मू रीजन में आई थिंक हमारे पास काफी संकेत हैं कि ये इन ऑल प्रोबेबिलिटी पाकिस्तानी टेररिस्ट हैं। यहां पर पाकिस्तानी टेररिस्ट नहीं मरे, ये मैं आपसे सहमत नहीं हूं, क्योंकि 2 ऑपरेशंस में नॉर्थ कश्मीर में पाकिस्तानी टेररिस्ट भी मरे हैं। इनके नंबर्स क्या हैं कहना थोड़ा मुश्किल है, बट दे कुड बी एनीथिंग फ्रॉम 25 to 40। ज्यादा बड़ा नंबर नहीं है ये, लेकिन अगर एक एरिया पीसफुल है, स्टेबल है, और उसमें सडनली इतने आप आतंकवादियों को ऐड कर दो, तो थोड़ा समय लगता है जो काउंटर टेररिस्ट ग्रिड है उसको मैच्योर होने। तो अभी वो ग्रिड को लगाया गया है, और जैसे कि मैंने बताया, अब उसमें इंटेलिजेंस उत्पन्न होनी शुरू हो गई है, और आप देखेंगे कि आगे सक्सेसफुल ऑपरेशंस भी होंगे। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है इसके बारे में।
शबीर फ्रॉम ग्रेटर कश्मीर, क्या हम कह सकते हैं जो पीर पंचाल में जो मतलब टेररिस्ट हैं वो कभी इस साइड में भी आते हैं, कोकरनाग, शुपियां, कुलगाम, एंड दे कैरी आउट एक्टिविटीज और दे टेक शेल्टर?
हाँ शबीर, ये तो जाहिर है कि ऐसा होता है। अगर आप किसी लेमैन से भी पूछेंगे तो जहां पे प्रेशर होगा वहां से वो आतंकवादी चले जाएगा। अगर आप एक जगह कोई इंसिडेंट करते हैं तो आप ज्यादा देर उस जगह में नहीं रहना चाहते, क्योंकि आपको लगता है कि आपके बारे में कोई खबर दे देगा, तो आप दूसरी जगह चले जाते हैं। और आप दूसरी जगह में जाके कोई इंडिकेशन या कोई भी ऐसी कार्रवाई नहीं करते जिसकी वजह से आपकी लोकेशन रिवील हो जाए। तो मान लो अगर मैं शुपियां में कुछ करता हूं और फिर पीर पंजाल को पीर की गली से या एडजॉइनिंग एरिया से कहीं से भी क्रॉस करके पुंछ के इलाके में चले जाता हूं, तो ये तो जाहिर है कि मैं अगले 2-3 हफ्ते या 1 महीना चुपचाप बैठा रहूंगा। और ऐसे होता है, हमें खबर लग जाती है जब इस तरह की एक्टिविटी या मूवमेंट होती है, लेकिन कभी कभी इंटेलिजेंस थोड़ा लेट होती है या इतनी स्पेसिफिक नहीं होती कि उस पर एकदम अचानक ऑपरेशन हो जाए। लेकिन हाँ, जो आपने बोला दैट इज पॉसिबल, और वो हो भी है।
क्या इरफान? Good afternoon, Jalsab. Good afternoon. Hi, this is Hakeem Irfan Rashid from the Economic Times. So, Jalsab, can you put a light the February 2021 ceasefire? Is that still intact, and do we see that intact on the borders as far as 2024 is concerned? And also about these foreign infiltrators. Do we have the intelligence about what kind of people they are? Because we have got reports from the Jammu area, although we were told that this is not your area, but we have got reports that they have high tech, they are well trained. Can you put a little light as far as the intelligence goes about the weaponry and the kind of guys these people are?
Okay, so the last part of your question first. You know, the training of an insurgent or a terrorist can only be as good. He can obviously not be as well trained as, let's say, the Indian Army soldier. I think at least I have no doubt about that in my mind. You can hand them technology. You know, for instance, I am carrying a rifle or an automatic weapon, and you can give me a night sight, and I can train you how to use it. So obviously, it's going to enhance that capability a little. But let's not forget that the Indian Army today has at its behest the best possible technology. You're also aware that 2024 is the year of technology absorption in the Indian Army. So we've embraced technology in a very, very big manner, and we are leveraging it all across our operations. So therefore, not even for a moment are we awed by the fact that the infiltrators could be Pakistanis or foreign, or that they are very well trained, or that they have great technological wherewithal. That doesn't bother us. You know, we have to do counter-terrorist operations, and we will go after insurgents, whatever shape or size or whatever manner of technology that they may be utilizing. I think there is no doubt about that. Now, I'm sorry, can you just tell me the first part? Yeah, the ceasefire. Now, you are aware that the ceasefire came into effect in at the beginning of 2021, and the DGMOs of India and Pakistan, picked up the phone and they spoke about it. The situation at that time, as you're aware, was tenuous on the northern borders with China, and at that point in time, the two countries felt that that was the most apt thing to do so that tensions could be kept under a threshold as far as the line of control on the western borders are concerned. Is it sustaining? Yes, very much it is sustaining. And there are certain tenets to that ceasefire understanding which both the sides follow. Every now and then, if any side has any exception to any activity that may have been prosecuted by the other side, those are brought to notice through various means. So there are hotlines on the line of control. The two DGMOs have hotlines and they have access to each other, and these are routinely brought to each other's notice. But the ceasefire understanding has sustained and still very much in force.
Yeah, Ms. Kani.
Hi, sir. Myself Zara from Press Trust of India. Since we are talking about technology, I want to know from you that terrorists of late they have been using modern technology like ultra sets. So, what are your comments on that?
That is ultra communication is, as you are aware, what the terrorists use. It has various layers of encryption, and while presently it is affording them the secrecy that they want, but I assure you that work is happening in that regard, and soon we will be able to crack that encryption, and I'm hoping that that will further dent the terrorist ecosystem and network.
Mr. Farid.
Sir Farid, this side, I represent India Today Aztec. My question is vis-a-vis the use or weaponization of technology that was supposed to help societies, like we saw drones. And now what we're seeing in Israel, Lebanon conflict is the weaponization of mobile phones or pagers. So how big a threat is that if you talk of this particular conflict threat like Kashmir? Because obviously people must have seen this, and we've seen how drones were used. So are you fearful, or should I say cautious about that particular aspect? And is the army basically molding itself or being cautious about it and then preparing itself for that particular aspect? Because that could be used anywhere, and in fact here also.
Farid, look, every time a new method is employed by any military force across the world, you always tend to take note of that because you want to derive and draw your own lessons from it so that you can incorporate what is relevant to you and prepare your army and armed forces accordingly. What we are seeing unfolding in the Middle East is obviously a new trend, and in the manner in which it is unfolded is quite unique. So therefore, of course, we will analyze it and we will put it into perspective, and then come to conclusions as to what is relevant and how it could affect us. And make no mistake, we will prepare for it. Because we are an evolving army. We are very conscious of the threats and challenges that lie ahead in today's day and age. We are aware that technology can be used in many ways and many creative ways of that, and we've seen the methods that you were mentioning. So therefore, yes, certainly we will analyze these developments. We'll come to our conclusions and prepare. We shall definitely make no mistake.
I have a part two as well. Talking of this absolute silence, the build up to these elections previously before they were fine and smart. Obviously, the interior grid has worked well. They have good pressure on these grids, they have been on the run. But do you also see this as a kind of tactical silence from the terror outfits? Maybe they also want something politically to change in the Kashmir Valley. Do you also attribute it to that also, or do you think it's just the presence and the way security forces have handled the terror and basically get them on the run that they have not been able to do anything as far as these elections are concerned?
Fareed, in a lighter vein, if I was just to, have my little moment in the sun, then I would agree to what you said in the end, that we've done so well, that we've deterred and scared people off. But I am more pragmatic. Going into these elections, we had numerous deliberations and meetings at the highest level, at the functional level here in Srinagar, where we have the best role model of what should I say, interagency cooperation and synergy. So yes, we put an architecture in place. We followed it diligently. We followed the regimen and the process to the T. The results are there for you to see. But just like there are questions in your head that why this eerie silence, those questions are there in our head also, and as they should be. As a good professional soldier, I must always see the other side, and therefore we are in the process of analyzing as to what possibly could have happened. Of course, the robust security architecture did deter, not only during the elections that have just been concluded, but even in the ones before that, or even, let's say, in other significant events such as the traditional pilgrimage that takes place. So, our aim is always to put a system in place which will deter and deny. But we will definitely introspect and see as to what are the possibilities as we move ahead. I know various scenarios can unfold, and I assure you that we will always put forth the best version of ourselves and make sure that what we have achieved in the past can be replicated in the future.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, last three questions. So, Mr. Khafi, you can ask your question.
So Sohail, this side from Times Now Bharat, Jammu and Kashmir is going to make a transition, important transition. 5-6 साल के बाद 10 साल के बाद फिर एक बार 8 अक्टूबर के बाद जम्मू कश्मीर में इलेक्टेड गवर्नमेंट होगी. So after 8th of October, what sort of security challenge can emerge? What is Army's reading? Are there any specific intelligence inputs with regard to emergence of any particular situation or scenario? Second, international conflicts are escalating, particularly the one currently in Middle East. So उसके जम्मू कश्मीर particularly कश्मीर वैली पे किस तरह के impact और implications हो सकती हैं?
As far as specific intelligent inputs about any particular scenario unfolding after the 8th of October, and by that I mean you're obviously alluding to the results being announced that day. We don't have any specific inputs about any concerning situation that may arise. As a good citizen of the country, I can only presume that whatever happens after the 8th of October will also be good, and it will take, J&K in a positive direction. We've had a democratic process here after 10 years, and I'm sure it's for the good. I think the percentages that we've seen, the turnouts have been very encouraging. So, but if you were to connect what you said with what Fareed asked a little earlier, we always consider the situation as dynamic. And like I said earlier, from time to time, we have to keep reviewing that if the situation is peaceful and stable, are all the parameters that govern that constant? No. I mean, they keep changing from time to time. And we will keep a close watch on those parameters. And should a situation give an indication of arising, I assure you we will be prepared for it. As far as the conflicts that are ongoing, across the world, what kind of an impact that they have, you've seen that, some of those events have had some, I would say, negligible impact. We have seen some protests even within the valley, but right now we've not had any indication that any of those could precipitate into a very concerning situation. But please remember that those conflicts are becoming more and more intense as the days go by. So we'll have to keep a close watch and monitor and make sure that none of them have any adverse impact on the security situation in our region.
Yeah, Mr. Irfan. Sir, this is Irfan from Rising Kashmir. Sir, my first question will be, सर पोस्ट 2019 के बाद जब पुलवामा अटैक हुआ उसके बाद सर आपने कॉन्वॉइज पे स्पेशल एक एडवाइजरी निकाली, सिविल लाइन ट्रैफिक रोका जा रहा है। तो सर उसके बाद हमने देखा जब हम रिसेंटली इलेक्शन कवर कर रहे थे, मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल फ्रॉम साउथ कश्मीर वर टेलिंग दैट कॉन्वॉय की कोई टाइमिंग नहीं होती है, दे वर सेइंग दे आर सफरिंग, मतलब ड्यू टू अनशेड्यूल्ड उनका वो टाइमिंग रहता है। तो कोई एक सर ये वाला क्वेश्चन। सर दूसरा ये क्वेश्चन कि अपार्ट फ्रॉम डिक्रीजिंग जो इन्फिल्ट्रेशन है, तो नार्को टेररिज्म इंक्रीज हो रहा है, तो उस पे सर आपकी इनपुट क्या है?
देखिए, जहां तक कॉन्वॉयज, टाइमिंग और शेड्यूल्स का सवाल है, अगर उसकी वजह से लोगों को असहूलियत हुई है तो दैट इज नॉट बाय इंटेंशन। अगर किसी समय पर किसी इंटेलिजेंस इनपुट की वजह से अगर कभी थ्रेट होता है तो अनप्रिडिक्टेबिलिटी लाने के लिए कभी कभी वो टाइमिंग्स चेंज किए जाते हैं। बट मैंने आपको शुरू में जब मैं आया था मैंने बोला दैट हम बहुत सेंसिटिव हैं अबाउट आवर कनेक्ट विद द पीपल, और दिस इज एन एक्सपीरियंस दैट वी हैव गेन्ड जो हम इतने साल यहाँ पे डिप्लॉय रहे। तो हमारे लिए द कन्वीनियंस एंड द कंफर्ट एंड द वेल बीइंग ऑफ द पीपल इज ऑफ टॉप मोस्ट प्रायोरिटी, और कभी भी हम ऐसी कोई एक्टिविटी करना नहीं चाहते जिसकी वजह से उनको परेशानी हो। सो इफ दो शेड्यूल्स वर चेंज्ड और ऑल्टर्ड, वो शायद किसी वजह से होगा और वो एक परमानेंट फीचर नहीं। तो आप ये मान के चलिए कि वो टाइमिंग्स जैसे पहले थे वो नॉर्मल सिचुएशन में दे विल गो बैक टू दोस टाइमिंग्स। सेकेंडली, यू आस्क्ड मी अबाउट नार्को टेररिज्म। मैंने आपको बताया कि वो जो पहलुओं की बात करी थी मैंने, दोज पिलर्स, उसमें वन वाज यूथ, एंड आई डिड से दैट द यूज ऑफ ड्रग्स दैट इज अ कंसर्न। वो एक बहुत बड़ी चिंता का विषय है। इसमें जो हम करते हैं दैट इज स्टिल वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस, लेकिन आप शायद मेरे से सहमत होंगे अगर मैं कहूं कि ये जो एस्पेक्ट है इसको सिर्फ चिनार कोर या इंडियन आर्मी नहीं एड्रेस कर सकती, इसके लिए एक होल ऑफ गवर्नमेंट अप्रोच चाहिए। लेकिन मैं आपको साथ साथ ये भी बताना चाहता हूं, क्योंकि इस विषय में मेरी स्टेट के डीजीपी साहब से जो अभी रिटायर हुए स्वयं साहब, उनसे कई बार बात हुई और सबके रेडार में ये प्रॉब्लम है और यूटी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को भी इसका एहसास है। तो डेफिनेटली एक स्ट्रैटेजी है जो इसको कॉम्बैट करेगी और ये पूरी कोशिश करेगी कि इस नार्को टेररिज्म के जो भी एम्स और इंटेंशंस हैं वो नाकामयाब कर दिए जाए।
Ladies and gentlemen, last question. Yeah, Ishan, please.
So I have two questions. One question.
Please take up the mic.
There's a proposal to Ishan from CNN News 18. There's a proposal on behalf of the army that the villages which are ahead of the fence, army wanted to move them out of that particular zone, given the sort of drug flow that these areas had, and also the sort of weaponry that they had a history of transporting. Is the army still pursuing that? That's my one question. I think if you would ask that, answer.
Yes, Irfan, there is a lot of thought that is going into that. We already have our blueprints in place. It requires cooperation and synergy with the civil administration also, because there are various aspects that are involved in such a move taking place. Because at the end of the day, these are people who lived in those areas, and where they move to and the kind of life that they have after that is of prime importance. So while security is always a concern, but at no point in time can you ignore the socio-economic factors that will affect these people when they move from there. So therefore, there is a plan that is evolving, and I'm sure in the near foreseeable future it will unfold because it is desirable. I think the development that you want to see reaching the doorsteps of such villages is possibly constrained by their geographical locations, and also by the fact that they are in areas where, while today there is a ceasefire understanding, when there is cross border shelling or firing, the safety of these people is also a concern. So that definitely is an endeavor, and it is work in progress, and there is a plan that is being deliberated on.
Okay, my last question is, since we have a lot of weaponry from Afghanistan which had flowed in, and the concerns were raised before, before prior to you, there were GOCs who had raised that concern. Is the Indian Army being able to, because you have recovered M4 rifles here as well, to basically get the flow chart that where it originates from, given the markings that the weapons have, that it might be a leftover from Afghanistan? Because last time we interacted with the former GOC, he said that we are trying to pursue with the US counterparts about the number and the labeling of these weapons so that they can see and make sure that they're able to get the flow chart that how it is coming to India, and try to nip them in the bud.
So I will endorse what one of my predecessors had said. That process still happens, and it happens immediately after such a weapon is recovered. As far as the trail is concerned, I think to most people who are discernible, I think the trail is clear. But I do not want to comment on that because that's a specific field where our intelligence agencies work, and I think they'll be able to tell us more as to how and where these are originating from and how they are finding their way into the hands of people who are actually inimical to our country. But as far as the process of documenting them and bringing it to the notice of those that should know about this, that is definitely continuing. I can definitely authenticate that.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So,
Anybody else? Any